Hello and welcome to the channel. Thanks for stopping by. Great to have you here. Today we're going to take a look at this watch, the new Foxbox FB0025. Very much a watch inspired by the Seiko Captain Willard and its subsequent reissue, which I think was the SPB153. That definite sort of turtle style. Lots of things that are similar, lots of things that aren't similar, to be fair. Now, I got this from AliExpress. I think it cost me about £16–17, which is about $20. And there's lots of things that are really good with it. Now, this is the red version. If I just show you the other colours that they do a black, which is looks more of a smoke grey, brown, which is an unusual colour, a blue, which again is really striking, and also a green. But I went with the red just because I haven't really got any red watches, to be fair. So this is what I went for. And let's take a look what you get. So what do you get for your $20? Well, it's a big watch. So we've got a 42mm in diameter. Lug to lug is 46.5. Now, I was quite surprised by that. I felt it seemed to wear bigger than that. So when I measured it, I had to remeasure it just to make sure I'd got that right. But yeah, 46.5 lug to lug, but I think it wears bigger, definitely. We've got a thickness of 14.5mm, so it is a thick watch. Strap, now it states on the listing it's 24mm strap. It is at this point, however, between the lugs is 20mm. So if you wanted to swap this out, you'd be looking at a 20mm strap, but 24 on this silicone strap. And then weight, we've got 98.5 grams. So it's a heavyish watch, but obviously on the silicone strap, it does make it lighter than it would do on a bracelet. Now, the build of the watch, it says all stainless steel just on the case back. And I've got no real way of telling. It's heavy enough to have been stainless steel, but I just think that the polished side there does look a little bit like it's coated, but I'm going to go with what the manufacturers are saying and saying it's all stainless steel. We've got these polished sides, not the worst polishing I've ever seen, and then just on the top you can just see these slightly brushed circular effect on the top of the body. Crystal, mineral crystal, kind of what we were expecting at this price really, and then we've got the crown down at the 4 o'clock. It's not a screw-in crown or anything like that, but it's a really good looking watch. We've all seen this style of watch plenty of times, and I think they've done a good job of it. It's not exactly the same as looking at a Captain Willard, but they've gone pretty close. It's very much inspired by that watch. Now on the dial, it's a very deep inset dial, as you can see, with a polished sort of chapter ring to show off the darker red outer track, which has white minute markers on there. Now the dial, I went with the red one. It's got this web effect on it. Now in the marketing, if I just show you closer, that web effect is highlighted in black far more than it actually is in real life. Now that might be what you're after, so it doesn't look quite like Spider-Man's watch to a degree, but yeah, it's not as bold as it's shown in the marketing. Now on the actual dial itself, we've got the circular indices all the way around. The 3 o'clock is a much shorter sort of oval shape. Then we've got trapezoids at the 6, 9 with a double 1 at the 12. And yes, I had to Google that to work out it was a trapezoid. And you know what, it looks really good. I think it's really smart. Now, all the indices are edged in silver and filled with LUME. Come on to LUME in just a second. Foxbox printed on the top and their logo with quartz 30 meters and 100 feet printed onto the dial. Now that's a bit paler again than the marketing, so it looks a little bit faded or weathered. Now that might be the look they're going for. If it was a bolder white, it would certainly stand out. I hope the camera picks that up. It does definitely seem paler than it does on the marketing. Now, lume-wise, let me just move this over here and show you a picture of it. It passes my 3 o'clock check, just. So by 3 AM in the morning, you can still see the hands, but the indices are faded. Yeah, and it's okay. It's not bad. For the price you pay, it's really good. Now, we've got a 3 o'clock date window in white, nothing particularly strange about that. It looks like it's just raised around the edges rather than framed. And then on the bezel, there is the usual 10, 20, 30, 40, 50 printed on in a darker red. Now the bezel is one of those things where this watch starts to not fall apart, but doesn't look great. So it's very clicky, very pingy rather than clicky. However, doesn't matter what I do with this. Let me just get it all the way back round to 12 and I'll show you what I mean. I've gone all the way past it now, typically. One of the things with this bezel is this, and this is where I think it starts to get a bit wobbly. Can you see that bounce? There's obviously some spring, or the mechanism is looser at the bottom. Now, if I bring the 12 o'clock round, doesn't seem to do it so much. So there's something not quite right with the bezel. Now, that could just be on this unit rather than the whole line, but just bear that in mind. Also, one other thing just to make a note of, you see on the dial where it says 30 meters on 100 feet? Well, it also says that in the listing, but let me just show you something different on the case back. So case back, all stainless steel, 1853. Again, I'm not quite sure if that's the time rather than the actual year it was founded. And then 5 ATM water resistant. Oh, wait a minute. Oops. 30 meters, 100 feet, 5 ATM. I am guessing that they have used this off the back of another watch, and basically it's a standard part that's already etched. So you've got a slight disparity there between the water resistance. You've got 50 on the back and 30 on the front. Now, they do put in their marketing, it is 30, so they've gone for the lower one, but bit odd. Slightly worrying? No, not slightly worrying. Just not a great show of quality, I don't think. So after a little bit of investigation with regards to the case back, what I did find was that this watch, their other version, the FB0025 tuner style watch, is 50 meter water resistance, and lo and behold, it's the same case back. So they're using the case back off the FB0024 on the 0025, but they do state in the listing it is only 30 meters of water resistance, whereas that one is 50. I did forget to mention the hands on the dial. They are cathedral style hour hand, and then this elongated arrow with a syringe tip even. It's actually the same handset off the FB0024 tuner, if you look at it. Again, loomed, and it suits the watch really well. Now the strap on this watch is the same as on the FB0024, this long, thick silicone strap. Really nice, as I say, a bit dirty there. Very thick, very long, even for my 8-inch wrist, which I'll show you in a second when I show you on my wrist. Comfortable. Not for everybody, these. Now, obviously, with the shoulders, and I'll show you again in a second, when it sits on your wrist, these shoulders obviously stick out a little bit. It does become a bit of a cuff catcher. It's quite a thick watch, and then obviously you've got these bits here. So it can become quite a cuff catcher. You wouldn't want to wear this with a slim-fitting shirt because it would just catch on your watch, no problem at all. But the strap itself, very nice, and as I say, very long as well, which I'll show you. So here it is on my wrist, and it looks really good. Now, you can see what I mean by these shoulders just sitting on my wrist here. They do make the watch sit out quite a bit. And then you've got a 14.5mm thick watch. It is a cuff catcher. I've got a hoodie on today, and it will catch on that. But t-shirt out in the summer, down on the beach, no problem at all. Strap's comfortable. I tend to steer away from silicone straps because they do make me sweat a little bit, but I'll show you on a NATO in a minute. But overall, Sits really nice. If you've got a big wrist like me, it's great. You've got all this at the end. You don't see that very often at all. And here it is on a very nice red, white and navy blue NATO. I think that goes really well with that. It matches the dial perfectly. Nice long strap as well. I get this strap from a place called the Thrifty Gentleman. I'll put a link to it in the description. I've bought several straps from those guys. They're always good quality and also very long. Great for if you've got an 8-inch wrist like myself. As for the watch, well, it's a bit of a hit and a miss. I like the style of it. I really like the colour of it, especially with this strap. But there's a few things. We've got this bouncy little bezel, which could be annoying for some people, but it could just be my production unit. The dial isn't quite as distinct as they show it on the marketing. And we've also got that 30 meters on the front, 50 meters on the back. So maybe if you only get the back of the watch wet, you'll be all right. But nice watch, love the colours in it, worth the money definitely. But if that's not your style of watch and you want something similar, you've got another Foxbox, which is this one. It's the FB0025, and I'll put a link up to that in the corner. Thanks for watching. Hope you liked the video. If you did, please hit that like button, and I'll see you on the next one. Thanks.